Wassail, beautiful people. I wanted to try and show how the new musical Alchemy of Astrology deck that we've been working on can help you in a kind of non-shuffling way to understand things about your natal chart and transits that are going on currently, but we're going to relate everything to Pluto. Because Pluto is at 0 degrees again of Aquarius, it will nip back in to Capricorn just briefly to ask you to tidy up some things before moving into Aquarius at the end of this year for 20 years. So there's this big 20-year cycle that's going on. So I'm going to talk you through certain things that we can become aware of, and I'm going to do a series working on the different zodiac houses so that you can look at what you have. So when Pluto enters Aquarius, it means that it creates different relationships with different signs. So I'm beginning with Trine just because it's a very tidy way to understand what's going on. So Pluto, for the next 20 years mainly, will be trining with the other air signs. So it's in Aquarius and it's trining with Gemini and with Libra. So this means that energetically it's activating the shadow side of the energies of things you may have in Aquarius, Gemini or Libra. And so it's an area that you can look at and consider how you're going to prepare yourself or what messages you might find from whatever planets you have in those houses. And there will be asteroids too to look at and consider, but we're just going to begin first of all with the planets. So Pluto will move in that 20-year period across a degree of the 30 degrees that we have of Aquarius at about a rate of a year and 8 months. It's not exact because of the retrograde periods where it moves backwards and forwards, but it will progress through Aquarius roughly in 20-month cycles. So if you have something at 0 degrees of Aquarius or Libra or Gemini, they're going to be activated by Pluto right now. So for me, I have Uranus at 0 degrees of Libra. So that energy frequency for me in my natal is a transit that is being activated right now. And it will just nip back into Capricorn to ask me to finish tidying up, and then it will move in and I have to work out how I progress through and transform, especially as Uranus's change, certain aspects that relate to Libra in my zodiac sign, in my natal chart, sorry. Let's start with the Pluto card and see what Pluto represents in terms of the energy being projected into these other air sign zodiac houses. So it's troweling the wrong crustal debris. So it's asking you, what is it that you're digging up in your life, in your spiritual journey, that is irrelevant, that needs to be transformed so that you can move to something more in alignment with your journey forwards. So Pluto is identifying stuck shadows. And some of the shadows that we have might just not be true to our journey, but we're caught clinging to those shadows. It's dormant ice volcanoes beckoning. So it's almost like there's frozen emotions waiting to be released. And diamagnetic prospecting. So diamagnetic is when you retune yourself so that you're not drawn to energies that aren't serving your purpose. And it's also bismuth, which is the unknown metamorphosis. And that's really speaking of trust that we have to do. It also relates to the spine. The spine in sound healing represents a frequency through which other energies have to not just pass, but align and join to make a better flow within your energetic body. On the polarities, we have I am returned or I am buried. So this is always about digging deep in our spiritual journey to find renewal energy. And remember, Pluto rules Scorpio, and Scorpio is the house of transformation. So re-death and birth. And I always call it a re-death and birth because the notion is that when we incarnate in the physical, that's when we died, because we left the spiritual, and that's the better state to be in. So you have to absorb pain to birth yourself in your true essence here on Earth. So you're dealing with energies that cause us to feel terrified. And terrified is to be stuck in fear to the Earth itself and the stories that you're picking up from the Earth frequency of Pluto. Because Pluto rules the underworld. It's to be concealed in fear, paralyzed by darkness, entombed in a spiritual sarcophagus. So look, it's talking about this energy of an awakening, but an awakening that's harmonious and fulfilling. And when Pluto is in retrograde, it talks about the powers that you allow to control you. I am returned has the energy of bounteousness. Winter being summer, because you're going against the flow of the earth. You're finding a spiritual energy and frequency to dance, to waltz, to glide. Nestled calmly in your frame, your balanced body brimming with minerals, an unearthed cellular balance allowing spiritual wealth. So there's so much opportunity to dig up and transform. Also think about any form of gardening. You have the solid packed earth after winter, and we go in and we dig up the earth, we plough the earth, we put air, we aerate the earth to transform it for new growth in preparation. So let's look at trine. Pluto is trining, creating a grand trine, but remember that the energies within Aquarius are actually a conjunction energy because Pluto is in Aquarius. So trining is melodious comfort. So Pluto is offering you everything that's in your Gemini, Venus and Aquarius energies, some kind of melodious comfort. It's offering you to dance, to waltz, to feel really alive within the world. Total social enjoyment. Naturally auspicious formula. Stepping in whirling splendour, moving as one harmonious body through your life in a way that we haven't been able to understand before. So trining is an 120-degree aspect, and that's why you get the three creating the triangle. On the polarities, it's I am cordial or I am hostile. Where are you on that spectrum? Look at what you have in Libra or Gemini and question how you can work with those planets or the absence of planets to create something new. Also, if you know which house that represents, it helps you to get an angle on what you're dealing with, whether it be something to do with the self. House 12, something to do with releasing. House 6, something to do with your health. All of these options and abilities to see something that you can transform are there in your natal. And this is what we call a transit. So it's the relationship to Pluto now and how it aspects the planets in your natal chart. So do you feel uncomfortable? Do you feel rubbed up the wrong way? Are you finding fault in kindness? Are you projecting hurts into loving relationships? Are you waiting for the trauma in all joyous moments? Because that's the flip side of the energy of a trine. To get in tune with that frequency, you need to be accepting, divinely unconscious, a natural harmonic beauty resonating through you and your actions, finding an inherent symphonic sophistication, the music of the spheres offering you the chance to begin a new movement. And it really is to begin a new movement because it's at 0 degrees. And know the truths rather than feeling into them. Don't just feel in, know that they're true. Understand and appreciate. And then we have air. So it's trining air signs. Air is rational thought editing, gentle wind chimes. So here there would be a suggestion that sitting and considering these things while listening to the sound of wind chimes would be very helpful. It's logical, clear thinking. It's cerebral accord, and it's the breath of life. I am knowledgeable or I am ignorant. Where do you place yourself on that scale? Work with these energies to be more knowledgeable. So this is energies to do with the West, maturity in autumn, and knowing that we can work with all the elements we are born with. Do you feel like you have your wings? Are you winged? Are you flying? This also connects the air energy with Archangel Raphael. And remember, air is the tarot suit of swords. So if you're doing a tarot card reading and swords come up, they're relating to some ability to trine and find melodious comfort within that message or that sign. Look at how they relate to your natal chart. Air enters the lungs to oxygenate the blood. It's a life force. You can also consider connecting with sylphs, fairies and elves because they're all air elementals. They're spirits that live both here in the 3D physical earth realm, and they also live in the worlds of air, a dimensional frequency that only they can exist in. Let's spend some time thinking about Gemini. So Gemini in this deck is the atomic blueprint. This is the holograph musical score. What is a holograph musical score? It's the handwritten manuscript at which a composer writes down their new compositions. So once upon a time when I was in the Royal College of Music, one of the librarians handed me a score to hold, and I asked what it was. It was the handwritten holograph musical score by Mozart. of one of his piano concertos. And it was such an incredible feeling to know that this was where a piece of music was birthed into the physical. Something that was brought down through the muse of music and laid on paper to remain in the world as something to be enjoyed by audiences for generations. So this is what Gemini is about. Gemini is settled form, being settled, being written down, understanding and integrating changes. There's a fire-resistant synthesis. So when you move into your true atomic blueprint of Gemini, you're dealing with understanding that the truth of you becomes fire-resistant. You become less damageable by things that might singe or burn us ordinarily. And it's also the magnum opus alchemical modality of fixation. And that's the energy when you restructure things at a subatomic level. And that's why it's this atomic blueprint rewriting you. Remember, Gemini is mutable air. And that's about opening a channel for change. So there's a real sense of change to be associated with the planets that you have, or the absence of them, because then they're not dictating the journey. You have a greater freedom if you have nothing within that sign. Gemini is the channel for change in the next 20-year period. So I am decided or I am anxious. So if you're anxious, you're dealing with transforming, changing the energies of lying, jittery nerves, weaponizing gossip, the hedonist who never leaves. So they're really big energies to look at and ask yourself, am I these things, or have I already succeeded in transforming some of these things? I am decided, brightness, to be tuned in as a seer, intellectually sparkling, the weaver of word wizardry, and the source of breath for the wind of change. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And in this deck, Mercury is silver-tongued, the snake charmer's flute. It also it refers to the throat in sound healing. So this is musical mesmerism, to be caught up in the wonders of frequency transformation. It's also an energy that will always deliver tricky messages, things we don't necessarily want to look at and face. Pluto will make you face tricky messages. Pluto will work to help you understand your vocal vulnerabilities. And it will help you, Mercury, here in this energy, in communicating shadows. Because remember, we're relating Mercury and Gemini back to the energy of Pluto. So Mercury is quicksilver, which is pure, undying energy, a relentless form of renewal that we can ride with. In the polarities, I am charming or I am awkward. These are the energies you're working to uncover. Can you release the frantic energy that exists within both Mercury, but especially in Gemini? Can you deal with throat issues? Throats are a very vulnerable area. Often they're the first place where we begin to know we're about to fall ill. It can also be a very dark energy of wanting out of life early. So Mercury can, in its trickster energy, make us feel that we just don't want to be here experiencing dark, deep, uncomfortable traumas. It can also lead to a sense of an unkind intellectual deception of others. That's going back to that energy in Gemini, which talks about not telling truths. And when Mercury is retrograde, as we all know, it's got an interference with communications. So what you're looking for within the energy of Mercury to bring to the fore as a transformation of the stuck shadows working with Pluto is youthful, always truthful, cool, blue, soothing and healing frequencies. The swift delivery of preternatural messages, messages from beyond the veil coming in rapidly and illuminating the humour to be found in blockages. So Pluto holds those blockages. Mercury is the quicksilver that transforms them within House Gemini at this moment. That's where you need to be searching. Libra. Pluto is trining Libra. So Libra is the ardent arouser, a saxophone trio. Now, I find it really interesting when channeling this card that it wanted the musical term to be a trio, and yet we think of Libra as being the scales with just two places in which to weigh something up. But you need to remember that there's also the structure of the pedestal on which it sits. And so Libra in this deck represents this triple point paragon. And that's the point in terms of heat or temperature and pressure at which an element can be in all three states. A triple point paragon is to be both, all, solid, liquid, and gas at the same temperature and pressure. And that's a big ask for us to do in our spiritual journey, to come into that frequency. This is to vaporize, to spiritualize. This is to stimulate, to animate. And this is also sublimation in the magnum opus, turning a solid straight to gas, because you have access to the triple point paragon. You don't have to go through the emotional state. You can jump, you can shift, you can slide. So it's cardinal. It's cardinal air. And that's big, expansive, new thought narratives coming in to transform your world. It's also stimulating or suppressed. Are you stimulating or are you suppressed? How far along that scale do you reside? So what are you dealing with as releasing, as stuck shadows? Vanity. Do you have vanity? Are you a covert narcissist? These are awkward questions that you need to be exploring. Selfish devourers of love. Because although I haven't touched on it, obviously Venus rules Libra. Are you a lazy, shallow people pleaser? If you look at the positive side that you're trying to activate and move towards, we're looking at peacemaking, gentle leadership, not enforcing, but just being in your own cardinal loving truth and being inspiring. Guardians of cosmic law. That's your job, is to understand cosmic law more than it is to live earth law. Empathic desire to help others. And seeing the beauty and value in all people. And that includes people you believe you don't like. If you're not liking someone, It's because you're still activating your suppressing nature, your vanity, your narcissist frequency. And we all have these. They're just about bringing things back into alignment and balance. Then we have Venus. Venus is the higher heart. It's the consciousness heart. It's kind of like, in a way, the air heart or the spirit heart, the frequency that comes down through the veil that links to our molecules to make us a living being. It's consciousness. So Venus is copious loving and a perfect cadence. But also Venus is a love that has desires because it's in the physical world with us. It's not the same as Eros. Eros is just pure love. Venus has needs, and we all have needs, emotional needs, loving needs, things we require. Venus has an orbit of 7 months. So you want to kind of look out for the moments when Venus transits past certain energies within Libra and what you have there and how that might be activating certain aspects, what house that's in, so that you can understand how you move through this. So it's a heart strengthening energy. It's antimicrobial healing. It's working on things that need transforming within your frequency that are part of that holobiont energy of bacteria that lives within us and on us, in harmony with us. It's soul consciousness, and it's the metal copper, the giver of goodness. So I am compassionate or I am uncaring. Where are you on that frequency? Are you able to move past infections? Are you able to look at breathing troubles by working with sacred breath and exercises to strengthen that part of your physical system? Do you find a greedy neediness still sets in? Because it's a shadow aspect that Pluto's going to shine a light on. And do you sometimes feel and know and understand that you create toxic relationships because you believe they appear wise, when you know they're not? On the positive side of this, on the compassionate side, it's understanding your desires and being honest with yourself about these desires. It's the chalice of loving. It offers prosperity and victory. It's the sea womb absorbing fire and fury. So it's the calm loving that softens those energies that we have within us. And copper assists iron in creating red blood cells. So very strong energies to be looking at and seeing what you have in Libra in your chart. And remember, as I said, an absence of planets does mean that there's almost an option to design your desires in a different way. So Pluto in Aquarius is the energy of conjunction because it's a 0-degree aspect. It's where it is. So Pluto is really trying to merge with anything you have in your natal chart in Aquarius. So conjunction is merging focused intentions. It's a musical collaboration. So the music of the spheres with Pluto, this spine energy, this C sharp, this D flat, moving into tempo, mutually intensifying amplification. It's a growing, strengthening energy that you can hook into to feel like you're in the heart of wondrous magic. Recognize this merged focus intention that Pluto is bringing to stuck shadows in anything you have in Aquarius. It's also coming together in kinship. And that's particularly powerful in Aquarius because Aquarius is the sign of humanitarian thoughts, emotions, philosophies. So here we're looking at the polarity of I am mutual or I am detached. How connected do you feel to others? How connected do you feel to your life? How connected do you feel to humanity and what's going on around you? So if you're in this detached frequency that Pluto will bring up as a stuck shadow, it's asking you to look at the energy of isolation. How much do you isolate yourself? Again, that's particularly powerful being in Aquarius because Aquarius has a very fixed notion of one solution fits all. So it feels very much like that's an energy that you need to look at. Is your solution a solution that fits all, or can you be honest with yourself and know that everybody needs their own solutions? Do you feel unable to reach out to other people, so you pull yourself back and keep yourself aloof? Needing community bonds. That's what this energy is asking you to recognize. It can also, on the negative side, demonstrate that energy where you're unable to make eye contact with others. And it's frightened to enjoy change and grow in life. On the positive side of these frequencies, it's synchronous. It's being in flow. It's being aligned with others, empowered by new themes. Joys found in the algebra of planets. Understanding the movement of the music of the spheres as it goes through different signs. And that's what I'm hoping to help you all to understand in this little series we're going to look at. And then being invigorated by the experiences of change. Can you embrace these merged focus intentions and celebrate them? So Aquarius, this is fixed air. This is the shoulders of giants. The music festival sound system is an amplification energy. And that's particularly interesting when you have conjunction in Aquarius, because Pluto's working in Aquarius. It's amplifying shadows for us to transform. The shoulders of giants are the DNA codes of ancestors, but not just our ancestors, but the whole of humanity when it makes huge leaps forwards, like the Iron Age, when suddenly we were creating metals through alchemy and amplifying and celebrating those energies. So it says amplify, increasing receptivity. Are you able to receive and transform new energies? Or are you blocking the energies so that things can't make their way towards you? Because that's a stuck shadow. Are you sharing? Are you primed? Are you willing to be community? So this is the magnum opus multiplication, nurturing streams of wisdom. So I am stable or I am insecure. So the shadow side is to feel detached, to have a sense of radical fanaticism, really driving yourself down lost causes. Are you being isolated through spiteful wit? And are you a fame and attention seeker of applause? They're the shadows that Aquarius is offering you to work with. Can you become an originator? Can you recognize that you're not solely human? We are all other. We're all interdimensional and we're all sacred. Can you walk in unbounded freedom? Can you elevate humankind, the collective, above all other things? And can you pour new emotional concepts from within you to inspire others? So Aquarius has two rulers, Saturn and Uranus. Uranus, it's Gaia. So Saturn is the classical ruler before Uranus was discovered. And this is natural world law, primordial drumming, the divine masculine. And that's interesting when you look at this energy that talked about receptivity. So receptivity is considered a divine feminine frequency. Actioning it into the real world, bringing it into the lower heart frequency, is the energy of the divine masculine. Can you absorb your pain? Can you become non-judgmental of life, yourself, and everyone around you? Can you live flowing in linear time? And this is lead, finding purpose. Can you find your purpose in the world? There the shadows Pluto is bringing into this merged conjunction frequency in Aquarius right now for 20 years. Give or take that little skip and wink back into Capricorn towards the end of the year. So Saturn is I am unbiased or I am judgmental. So the shadow side here is to be poisoned, to be strangled and depressed, choked by life, because you can't allow yourself to flow without judgment. Does time drag and grab all joys and take them away from you? Do you allow that? Do you keep empowering that to happen? Because that's very much an energy of Pluto in retrograde, and Pluto is now prograding again. It will go retrograde, and then those challenges may arise more, or they may arise more in 6 years when Pluto reaches a degree that matches whatever you have going on in Aquarius. Do fears open distorted heart dimensions for you? Because you can work with Saturn here to transform that energy. Saturn in retrograde creates delays, restrictions, debts, and poor health. And that's something to be aware of so that you can approach retrograde periods strengthened with that knowledge. Now, Uranus is the primordial thought changer, the glass harmonica. And the glass harmonica is glasses filled with water tuned to different pitches that you run your finger around and they create sounds, but they can also distort your mental frequencies. So it's very challenging energy here, really asking for transformation, looking for a penetrative resolution beyond time. Saturn is living linear time. So you're looking to live a new linear time, and that you do through joining in, respecting your holobiont bacteria. This is the soul thread unveiling truths, clarifying doubts. This is platinum, the metal, the galactic aligner. And this is cosmic consciousness. So there's something here that Aquarius is offering us a chance to take our cosmic consciousness and bring it down and lock it, seal it into the lower heart energy that exists with a love of the natural world. Natural world law, primordial drumming. So Uranus is I am changed, I am static. So the shadow aspects of being static is disconnected. utterly ungrounded, all up there in your thoughts. Needless frustration at futile things, being angered by things that you don't need to be angered by. Is there a spiritual confusion from excessive meditation? That's a really interesting energy, because sometimes we can have spiritual practices that are not actually serving us properly. So it's asking you to question your spiritual practices. And when Uranus is in retrograde, which it is at the moment, I think it comes out on the 27th of January, it makes you kind of drift, dazed, and then repeating life cycles, just doing things over and over again without realizing, being in a small thought fog. If you're looking at changing, you're looking at utilizing Uranus to bring a future now. What is a future now? It's living in the now moment and feasting on future frequencies that make your now moment new. It's the great leveler. It will remove frequencies that don't need to be there. It's the primordial deity of the sky, the cosmic rivers of consciousness, and the guardian of veils and keeper of dimensional doors. So I would say that you could look not just at what you have in these houses, but you could look at these ruling planets and where they are in your chart and how they will help to align or inform you of transformations that you want to go through. But on the whole, Pluto is trining those air signs. It's offering an opportunity to come into an alignment with something new and harmonious in your world. So, Wassail.